everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is your favorite Glammy. It is me, Melody Zondo. Welcome back. If you're here for the first time, hi, welcome. And if you're coming back, hello. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel and for supporting my channel by coming back, by sharing, by liking, by commenting. I appreciate it so very much. So as you guys know, I've been doing a series on domestic violence and abuse, which is the platform for the Mrs. Universe South Africa pageant. And today I finally get to sit and tell my story. So if you guys want to find out how I survived domestic violence and how I got out and my story, keep watching. Remember to like, to share, and to subscribe to my channel. And guys, a little bit closer. I don't know, I felt like the camera was a little bit too far, so I wanted you guys to come close so that we can sit and we can chat. I was thinking of doing this in my bedroom, you know, make it very informal, but yeah, I decided against it. So I decided to do my face and to get dressed and, you know, just to make myself feel a little bit better. So yes, welcome. And so the very first time I think I experienced domestic violence and abuse was me as a young girl. You know, growing up elokishini, it's something that we see on the daily. It's something that we know about. You know that the neighbor's father abuses the mother, or the uncle next door, you know, is abusing the kids and beating them. So domestic violence is not something that, you know, was new to me when I experienced it. It really wasn't. It was something that I just kind of got used to. Because like I'm saying, it's something it's the norm. You know, it's not something that people frown upon or they talk about, and it's something that happens and everybody just sweeps it under the rug and nobody wants to talk about. And me coming out and telling my story and doing this series, I am hoping that more victims, more survivors, you know, will come out and actually talk about domestic violence and their experience, and that this won't only create awareness, but it will also help people, you know, so that they leave that abusive spouse, or it will help them heal. Because, you know, after you go through domestic violence, there's a lot of healing that needs to happen, and it's very, you know, traumatic. It's a traumatizing experience, and I know a lot of people don't think of it that way. They think, oh well, he just slapped you here and there and that's it, what's the big deal? It is a big deal. It really is. It changes you in so many ways. And before I go off what I was saying, domestic violence, like I'm saying, it's something that is not new to me. It wasn't new to me at the time when it happened. It's something that I saw growing up, and it's something that I saw happening to my when I was a little bit younger, my mom and dad, they went their separate ways when I was very, very young. So I was raised by my late great-grandmother, because my mom was always working, or, you know, she was always socializing. She was a social butterfly. So I grew up with, well, my great-grandmother, my late great-grandmother raised me. So I never really had a very close relationship with my mom, because of the kind of lifestyle that she lived. But the very last boyfriend that she had was physically and emotionally abusive towards my mom, going through domestic violence and abuse. Like I said, the last boyfriend that she had, I saw him abuse her. They actually used to stay at my great-grandmother's house. We have back rooms, so my mom used to occupy one of the back rooms, and weekends were chaotic. Weekends were absolutely chaotic. It was like, you know, something out of a movie. It used to get messy. It used to get messy, and as a child, witnessing that happen to your mom, it's not an easy thing. I had a lot of resentment towards the abuser and a lot of hate towards him, but I also had a lot of resentment towards my mom, because I couldn't understand why imagine your mom being beaten by their boyfriend at your grandmother's house in front of her family, and there's not much that you can do. And I remember the last time that he actually beat her, she had to go to the hospital because she needed stitches. And, it got to that point where it's now life-threatening. But eventually my mom left, and I was very happy about that because it was an abusive relationship. It was not healthy. It was toxic in so many ways. So that was my first hand, very close type of exposure or experience with domestic violence. And in a lot of ways, it has left a lot of hurt inside of me. And in a lot of ways, it influenced the types of decisions that I made towards men and relationships. And I remember thinking to myself, I will never put myself through that. I'm so much smarter than that. I'm stronger than that. I'm so much bigger than that. I will never do that, especially after seeing my mom go through it. And then guess what? The very first serious relationship that I get into, it is with somebody that. Okay guys, so just to give you a bit of a background about my abuser, we met when I was 18. I was straight from high school. There was no money for me to go to varsity. So as you can imagine, the excitement of having to work, it was a legit company. I was a receptionist there. I was earning a living, and I was young, I was ambitious. There's so many things that I wanted to do with my life. So I was a go-getter, always have been, always will be. So I was at a point where, I had all these dreams. I was studying part-time and I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to pursue so many other things, and I met this guy. At the time when we met, I was not seeing anybody. I mean, I was 18, I actually just broke up with my boyfriend from high school. And I meet this guy, very, very kind, very sweet, comes across very respectful. And I think I was kind of attracted by the fact that he was not South African. He's from one of the neighboring countries, in one of our neighboring countries, and there was that mystery about him and who he is and all of that. And I think I was actually attracted to that. So yeah, I meet this guy and he's giving me all the attention. He was just there. He was very attentive and very supportive towards the things that I wanted to do, type of a thing. The relationship started off, I think it started off okay, but I do realize now that the abuse actually started so much early in the relationship. I think probably the first 3 weeks or so that we were seeing each other, it already started, but I never saw it because a lot of women, I'm sure, can relate. A lot of the times the red flags are there, the signs are there, but we ignore them and we think it's not happening, or we like to think it's not that. So I ignored it, and it just escalated. The first time I actually think the abuse started was, I remember it was not even a month that we were seeing each other, and I remember telling him that I couldn't see him that weekend because I wanted to spend the weekend with my friends. And he got so angry. He accused me of cheating on him, that I was going to go and see somebody. And it became a problem to a point where I had to cancel my plans so that I could show him that I was not cheating on him. I was not going to go and meet up with another guy. So I went and I spent the weekend with him because I didn't want to there from the very beginning. I think at the time I was very young as well. I was very attracted to this person, and I never saw the signs. I just didn't. I don't think I had also the maturity level to see all those things. So that's when it started. So from that point on, things kind of moved from him not wanting me to spend time with my friends. He always wanted me to spend all my weekends with him, to going through my phone, who's phoning me. If he found, for instance, a number that he did not recognize, he would immediately think I'm speaking to other men. Or if he found a name of a male, on my phone, it's like, who is this guy? Are you cheating on me? Why are you speaking to him? Who is he? You need to delete that name and that number. So I ended up deleting all the contacts of all the male friends that I knew. And by the way, these are people that some I grew up with, some I met, in school, and I kind of stopped contact with all of them. I deleted their numbers, and when they would phone, I was in a situation where I did things to please him. I didn't want to make him upset. So to me, the reasonable thing to do, or the logical thing to do, was to just cut my friendships with all these males. I mean, he was going to be the male in my life because I had plans to be with this person forever. So I was like, look, he's the priority in my life. He's the important male in my life. I'm not going to let my friendships with the other males affect that. So I cut all my friendships with my male friends and male encounters. So escalated from that, and then they went from that to him saying, he would say mean things. For instance, I remember this one time I was at work. I remember this one time I was at work, and a guy that was pursuing me for a very long time. Actually, this guy was pursuing me before him. We met. I was at a party with my friends. And I remember I was 17, and this guy had been on my case, all the time. So what he did is the one time he phoned at home because he didn't know that I had a cell phone. He phoned home and he asked where I was, and somebody told him, no, she's working and this is where she's working. So he actually went to my workplace. Funny thing is, when he went to my workplace, I was not there. So he left a message, with somebody that was holding the fort for me, and said, look, I'm Kinosi, I know this chick, and please give her a message. This is my number, get her to call me. And I made a mistake. I made the biggest mistake because I used my cell phone to call him, and my ex saw that call, and it was a mess. Oh, it was such a mess. He got so very angry with me. He said, he accused me of cheating. Not only that, he basically said to me in my face, we are febe, and I was shocked. I was so shocked. I thought to myself, oh my gosh, here I am. I'm cutting out all these friendships. I've stopped speaking to all my male friends. I'm doing everything that you want. And here you are sitting telling me that I'm a hoe. Guys, you have no idea how shocked I was. And that actually hurt me a lot. But because I was so scared of him, I couldn't even express myself. I couldn't even tell him how hurt I was. I was just busy concentrating on, I need for this guy to calm down. I need for him to understand that I'm not cheating on him. And I just wanted to do everything for him so badly that I forgot about myself. I forgot about who I was, the direction I was taking. I forgot about how strong of a person I am. I bent over so much for him, and I became the person he wanted me to become, that I forgot about myself. And can you imagine, you're 18 and you're going through that? I mean, I had no maturity levels to actually see what was happening. I was just taken by, I care for this guy, I love him. So the abuse had been happening for a while. I mean, the mental and emotional abuse, it had been happening for a while, but I never took it as abuse. Nobody wants to admit to themselves that they're being abused. And that's the other thing. We all sit there and think, no, he's just a bit jealous, and it's a bit cute, and it's okay to be a bit jealous. But there is a difference between jealousy and being abusive. And he was just downright abusive. And that's it. I had a couple of those situations where I was being called a hoe. I was accused of cheating, and I didn't care, and all of that. And it then escalated to the actual physical part of it, the violent part of it. And it started with me refusing sex. I remember this one night, we just had sex a couple of times actually. And I'm tired, I'm going to work the next day, and I want to sleep. It's a Sunday. And he was like, I don't want to sleep, I still want to have fun. What's your problem? Do you not find me attractive? Are you thinking about somebody else? What's going on? Like, what? You want to go and give it to somebody else? And I was like, I think at the time I was just so tired of him just pushing me so much. And I remember I snapped and I said, I'm not, I'm going to sleep and you're going to let me sleep. And that was the first time that I was in bed. My back was to him, so I was not facing him. And I just remember, because obviously I wasn't facing him, so I didn't see this coming. I just basically, I pulled the blankets, like, I'm gonna go to sleep whether you like it or not. And I remember that first very hard slap on my back. It just went. Bearing in mind, this man is almost 2 meters long. He is built, he's quite built, I've always been skinny. I was like 55, maybe 50 kilograms. I've always been very small, very petite type of a person. So when somebody is hitting you with all their might and they're using force because they're angry, you can only imagine the impact it has, the pain I felt when it happened. But I think most importantly, or what I felt at the time, I don't think I felt the pain yet. It was more of shock. I was totally and utterly shocked. I thought to myself, what the hell is happening? This can't be happening. This cannot be happening. And he hit me for the first time. I kept quiet. And then he hit me the second, the third time. So he's doing this on my back, right? And I'm lying in bed, and now I'm lying in this position because I'm trying to protect my face. You must remember, I'm at my second job at this point in time, by the way. I'm at my second job, but I'm also a receptionist there. I'm the face of the company. I cannot afford to have bruises. So I'm now covering my face, trying to protect my face, that please God, I cannot have my neck, my shoulders, you cannot bruise me there. So now he's hitting me on my back. And I think it finally clicked to me what was happening, and I started feeling the pain, and I let out such a loud scream. Like I screamed so loud. And at the time he was living in a commune, so it was a house, and the house had kind of like a cottage at the back. So he was renting that room. It was just really just one room because his bathroom was on the other end. So it was, it was a small space. So I let out this loud scream, and then the people that were occupying the main house, they came out, they called his name, like, what the hell is going on? What are you doing? Stop it. And I think if it wasn't for me screaming or them hearing me scream, I don't think he would have stopped. He was just so angry at me for saying no to having sex that he was just like, you can't say no to me. And he was just hitting me, and I couldn't defend myself, So I lay there until he was done. And then when he finally stopped, because the people in the main house were asking him to, he was still shouting, he was still cursing at me, calling me names, and I need to get out of his life, and I'm the biggest hoe he's ever dated, all of those things. And I just lay there quietly. I said nothing. All I knew in my heart was that I wanted out, that I don't want this kind of relationship. I had seen it happen to my mom. I was not going to let it happen to me. So I wanted out. So I lay there quietly, and he came into bed. He laid next to me, and we said nothing for the whole night. We wake up, I pack my things, I'm off to work. He doesn't have a car, I don't have a car, so we use public transport. We get on the bus. And then there comes a point where we must go our separate ways. So we're waiting there. He's waiting with me, by the way, apologizing profusely. I'm so sorry, I lost my temper, I'll never do it again. I don't know what came over me. He had been dating for about a year or so. At that time, a year, maybe a year and a half. So I kept quiet, never said anything. I get to work, he's just bombarding my emails, my cell phone, I'm sorry, this and that and that. And then I get flowers at work, obviously. You know how they do, I get flowers. And then I start softening up, like, okay, maybe it was a mistake. It's the first time, he's never done this before. Maybe he didn't mean it. So I take the flowers home, I go home. Oh, when I leave the office, he's waiting outside. He's still very apologetic. So for the whole week, he's just apologizing, telling me how sorry he is, that he loves me, blah, blah, blah. So eventually I'm like, fine, I forgive you, but I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. And he was like, please give me one last chance. It will never happen again. It was just a mistake. He convinces me basically, and I decide to stay. So yeah, we continue with the relationship, but that was not the last time he did it. That was only just on the physical abuse. It just continued, you know, and it came to a point where I was so scared of him that I was always guarding what I was saying to him, what I was doing, making sure that on my phone, if I spoke to even a female friend, that he kind of kept me away from my friends, he kind of kept me away from my family. And I was just going through this thing, just suffering in silence, you know. And I had so many chances to leave, because I know somebody's going to be like, but why didn't you leave? For one, this is a person that threatened that if I left him, he's going to kill himself. And I believed him because he told me that he had attempted suicide twice before that. So I took it seriously, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to be the reason that he kills himself. So I was scared to leave. I really was. And then I remember the very last time that it happened, the last time that he put his hands on me, it was a Saturday. At the time, he had moved to a flat, an apartment, and the apartment next to his lived his mom and his sisters. So it was like one big happy family. We were still not staying together, by the way. I was just visiting him. I would just go visit him weekends, spend a couple of days there. You know what I mean? And I remember that Saturday, we're sitting, we're eating, we just finished watching a movie, everything is good. I don't even remember what I said to him, and he didn't agree to what I was saying. So that escalated from there to an argument, to him hitting me. And it got so bad that day. I remember I had these long braids, very thin, long braids. I just had them done. Probably like a month or so that I had those braids, you know? And he started hitting me. And I tried not to scream, because obviously his mom is next door. So I didn't want them to hear that. So I'm just keeping quiet, and I'm telling him like, stop, stop, stop. And he wouldn't. And he started grabbing me by my hair, by my braids. But can you imagine when somebody is grabbing your hair like so forcefully and so like I'm not letting go, you know? And it was the most painful thing ever. And I started screaming. His mom comes over, knocks on the door with the sisters. He won't open the door. The door is locked, and he's dragging me on the floor by my hair. You know, he's dragging me. That's how strong this man is, right? Eventually, I say to him, you're hurting me, let me go. He lets go, and when he does that, there's like braids that came out from my scalp. Okay, that's hair from my scalp that came out. He's holding it like this, and he just throws it down. And his mom is knocking, what's going on? Open the door, blah, blah, blah. And he won't. And he's like, everything is fine. You guys go. And I remember screaming out, it's not fine. He's hitting me, and I'm going to the police. I'm sending him to jail, because I had had enough. And after saying that, I remember he took my phone and he went into the bedroom. And as he goes into the bedroom, I follow him, because I want my phone. I want to phone the police. So I'm like, I want my phone. Give me my phone. And he won't give me my phone. He's like, I'm not giving you your phone. So I'm like, I'm going to the police. Takes out my SIM card out of the phone, throws the phone on the bed, leaves the bedroom. While I try to follow him, he closes the door, he locks me inside the bedroom. So now I can't get out. He's like, calm yourself down. When you calm, we can talk. For now, sit there. This is after he just beat me so badly that I lost some of my hair. And he says that to me. And to him, there's nothing wrong with that. His mom is busy knocking on the door still, by the way. And he's not moved by that. He keeps saying everything is okay, everything is okay. In any case, I'm now in the bedroom. I'm sitting there by myself. I'm crying, I'm screaming, all of those things until I came down and I basically cried myself to sleep. So I'm now sleeping. He comes in, he's calmer now. He comes in, here's food. If you need to go to the bathroom, let me know, whatever. I don't want to talk to him. It's a Saturday. I don't want to talk to him. I don't say anything. Locks me in that bedroom the Saturday, locks me in that bedroom the Sunday. I must go to work the Monday. He doesn't give me the opportunity to take a bath, to go and eat and just move around. I'm in the bedroom this entire time. So now I'm locked in there by myself. I don't go to work on Monday. He phones his boss, he's not feeling well, he's not going to work. So he's trying now to calm me down. So I said to him, you can't keep me here forever. My mom is going to phone and she's going to want to know what's happening. You took the SIM card out of my phone. So my mom is going to probably go to the police or something. So I think he got scared and then eventually he let me go Monday afternoon. So I pack my things, I leave. And I never filed a complaint. I never went to the police. I didn't do anything. I just said to him, I don't want to be with you anymore. Yeah, so after that, a little short while after that whole fiasco, I find out that I'm pregnant with his child. So we kind of got together and the pregnancy kind of calmed him down because while I was pregnant, he never put his hands on me. He was still like very, very emotionally and mentally abusive throughout the pregnancy. I was stressed throughout the pregnancy, so much so that I almost lost my child. Anyway, so we have a child together, we buy a house together, we move in together. We are now talking about marriage. At this point, he's very calm, no beatings, but like I'm saying, still mentally and emotionally abusive. And then after I had our daughter, I lost all the baby weight. I was looking great. I went shopping. You know that excitement of losing the baby fat. So I went shopping and now I'm dressing up in a certain way because I appreciate my body so very much. I'm like, you know what, I've got a banging body and I'm going to appreciate it and dress the part. Because for the longest time, he controlled what I wore. You know, he wanted me to dress up like an old Danny, and I did. But after this, I'm like, you know what, I've got a banging body and I'm going to show it off. And it started again. The emotional abuse, you hoeing, you sleeping with somebody. That's why you're starting to wear more makeup. That's why you're tweezing your eyebrows. That's why you're changing your hairstyles. You're putting on weaves now. That's why this and that and that. So I was constantly accused. That's why you're wearing perfume. And then it got to a point where I was like, I can't live like this. Like, this is not it. And at the time when I was going through that, thinking to myself, I need to leave this man. He goes, he buys a gun. Mind you, we are staying in a very secured neighborhood. We are in a townhouse complex, so security is very, very high. Why would you buy a gun? He goes, he buys a gun, tells me it's for security, to make sure that we're secured, blah, blah, blah. So to me, that was a sign like, this man is going to kill me. He's going to kill me. I need to get out. So from that point on, I started planning my exit, you know, how I was going to leave him. I started saving money. Thank God we didn't have same bank account. We had separate bank accounts. I started saving money. I started looking at apartments, like where am I going to move to? I was considering where I was working, what's going to happen with my daughter, blah, blah, blah. And then once I saved enough money, I said to him, I need to leave. I need to go and see my mom. After a week, he phones me. Why aren't you coming back? I'm like, no, my mom's still not well. So I have to be here because our daughter was staying with my mom. So he's like, okay, you need to come back soon. I'm like, no, I will. And at the time, I was looking at apartments. I signed a lease. I was getting ready to leave. I arranged for my sister and my uncle to help me. I went to the home that we shared during the day, packed my stuff. I only took my clothes. There's things that I bought for the house that I didn't even take. Curtains. I remember I bought this like 4-seater dining room thing with table and whatever. I left all of that behind. I didn't care about that because in my heart, I knew that I can accumulate these things again. but if I die in this situation, my daughter won't have a mother. So I didn't care about those things. So I just took my clothes, I left. And that day when he came home, he obviously realized that I had left. So he phones me, he's like, what's going on? I'm not sure what this is. So I said to him, it's over. We're done. And he laughed at me so hard. He was like, where do you think you're going? You young, you got baggage referring to his own daughter. Who's gonna love you? Who's gonna love you? Somebody as young as you who's got a child out of wedlock, who's got baggage. Those were his words. So I said, well, that's not your problem now, is it? You know, I'm baggage, so hey, that should make you happy. So he laughs, he's like, nobody's gonna love you, nobody's gonna accept you. And that was it. That's how I left. And I think he's never really made peace with that because he never saw it coming. He didn't think that I was ever gonna leave him. And it's still hard for him. You know, he still thinks that he's in control of my life. We obviously have a child together, so we're kind of in contact. So he still feels that he can speak to me the way that he pleases, but he doesn't realize that I'm not that 19, 20-year-old. He's never apologized for abusing me. He never will. He'll probably deny it. He will say it doesn't exist. It never happened, blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing about life. I cannot say what happens to him. I cannot punish him. I've handed him over to God. God will see how to, you know what, I've let go. He must live his life and do his thing. I've let go of that anger. Not entirely, because I'm still angry about it. But I cannot live my life carrying that burden of not forgiving him and that anger and resentment, because it's poisoning me while he's moving on with his life. And that's the thing about abuse, is that you carry it through. You know what I mean? You don't just forget a time when you have to let it go. You have to forgive. And you have to realize it's not your fault. You are not at fault. Stop carrying the shame. Stop walking around like you did something wrong. If anything, the abuser should be the one that is carrying that shame, And there came a point in my life when I was like, I'm not ashamed of this anymore. I kept this to myself for so many years. Nobody knew about it except for my older sister. And even with her, I told her years later after it happened, And I was like, but why am I still protecting this person? Why am I protecting them? They're not worth me protecting them. They don't protect me. They never protected me. So at some point in time, you have to, get over that and just stop protecting these people. They're not worthy, and do the right thing and speak up. You have nothing to feel ashamed of. And it's so freeing and liberating. Like, I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulder and I can move on with my life and be okay. And, realize that it's not all men that are like that. There are good men out there. There's some good guys out there. So as much as abuse is something that's real, it's out there, you definitely can survive it. For the longest time, I was angry at him. I was angry at men. I didn't even want to look at a man. But I came to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to deprive myself of love and true love because of the person that he is. And that's the thing. You need to come to a point where you make peace with what happened and realize that it was not your fault, and just live your life. Don't just merely exist. Like, you need to live, a life that's fulfilling and, that's full of... It was hard. It really was. But it's something that can be overcome. You can overcome it. Doesn't matter what situation you're in. I know there's worse cases, and I'm trying to speak to as many women as I possibly can so that we can create awareness and to show everybody that you're not alone. It happens to everybody. It doesn't matter where you come from, who you are. You can be young, you can be old, rich or poor. Abuse happens everywhere. And it's not just about the physical part of it. It's sexual abuse, it's financial abuse, it's physical abuse. There's so many faces to abuse, and we need to talk about it. We need to stop. His family knew about it. They saw it happen, but nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody came to me and said, what's happening? Are you okay? You know what I mean? He could have killed me and they would have been right there. Nobody wants to speak about it. So all I'm going to say, just to close this video off, I didn't think it was going to be this long, is if you know that your brother is abusive or your sister is abusive, because abuse happens everywhere, it doesn't matter who you are, or your uncle, your aunt, doesn't matter. You need to call them out. You need to do the right thing. Stop pretending like it's not happening, or turning a blind eye. It's not my business. You know this saying that we need to stop that, because people are dying out there because of that same thing, where you know what's happening, you know that somebody is being abused, but you keep quiet. And yes, you cannot go to the police and open a case for them, but you can be there for them. Offer them support without judgment. Let them know you're going to be there no matter what. And that's all that sometimes people need, that push in the right direction, that, you know what, if I leave this guy, I've got support here, So guys, let's play our part. Let's do what we need to do. Call out your brothers, call out your aunts that are abusive, call out whoever that you know that is abusive. Call them out. Protect the victim. Stop protecting the speak about without tearing up or getting angry. I did get a little bit angry earlier on and a bit teary-eyed, but it's normal. It really is. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, you guys. I appreciate your support so very much. Please share this video. Let's spread awareness. Let's create awareness. Let's do what we can to protect the victims. I love you all so very much, and I'm so grateful to have you as my family on YouTube, on Facebook. You guys are the absolute best. Stay safe. Drink your water with your lime and your garlic, whatever, and stay home, and let's stop domestic violence.